Hello everyone. If you're watching this, I hope you are doing well. I'm at Lake Vesuvius for an overnight hike. So yeah, ready to get this started. I know it looks like I'm packed up for like a week of hiking. It's only an overnight. I wanted comfort, so I've got my 5 pound sleeping pad. It feels like a comfy mattress, camp chair, all that stuff. Only doing about 8 miles, and then sleeping in a campsite kind of close to parking, maybe a couple miles out, and then heading home tomorrow. It's a long drive, close to 3 hours today, and I made the mistake. So I don't drink coffee, but I didn't get very much sleep, so I got a coffee this morning and regretted it like about 10 minutes after I passed the last visitor center. So I was driving for 45 minutes just looking for like a Wendy's or something to stop at. Then I got to the parking lot here, and they have like an outhouse in the parking lot with 2 stalls. So I go to the first stall, open the door. There's a guy in a mask standing there peeing. Like, all right, my bad, dude. Even though, you can lock the door, right? But I've seen it all now. If you're wearing a mask out here by yourself in a stall, okay. And then I go to the next stall to open that up, and there's a lady in there. Like, I'm sorry, miss, but there's deadbolts on both doors that all you have to do is turn them to lock the doors. Anyway, I'm gonna do a little hiking. I'll get back with you in a bit. But also check out these views. This beautiful lake. I'm gonna be hiking around the whole thing. So let's do it. Unfortunately, it rained overnight, so I don't know if campfire is going to be a thing. I'm going to try. I scheduled everything, so I'm going to get to the campsite around 3:30 or 4. Plenty of light, gather wood, but I also want to get a bunch of writing done. I didn't get to do that last time at Zaleski. Brought my notebook and didn't write a single word. So I want to spend a couple hours writing and get a fire going, hopefully. Ooh, look at this. This big old rock. This is a lot easier than Zaleski. Zaleski is nothing but hills. Uphill, downhill. This is basically walking flat around a lake. Now there is some elevation gain, but it's nothing compared to Zaleski, so I'm not going to be dead by the time I reach my campsite this time. Hey, no cobwebs at all yet. None, not a single one. I know by saying that, like, in 10 minutes, I'm gonna run into probably the biggest cobweb around the entire lake, but for now, there's just sweat on my face. No cobwebs. This is Lake Vesuvius Beach. Welcome. It's not that appealing, but it is a beach, so I thought I would film it. And they do have a foot wash station. Interesting. Let's see if it works. Oh, I'm ready to get to camp. All right, let's try this thing out. Nah, doesn't work. Not for the season, I guess. But yeah, getting a little hungry. Been staying pretty hydrated with water. And this time I remembered to bring a Gatorade, and I left it in the car, so I'm already craving it so badly. Oh my god, I'm gonna drink the whole thing in about 10 seconds when I get to the car tomorrow. I'll check back in when I get to the campsite. Okay, so there is no campsite along this trail. So I have to, start bushwhacking up that way for like a mile, I think. And then hopefully I'll find a campsite. If not, it will have been an exercise in futility. So here we are. This is my campground for tonight. I didn't find it right away, so I bushwhacked uphill until I found a forest road, and I followed that and came upon RV campers, and all the spots had reserve signs on them. So I kept hiking and come around a corner, and I see two old babushkas sitting by a fire, and I approached them and said, excuse me, miss, can you help me out? Looking for a place I can set up my tent. And she goes, you don't just want to hop in my van and I'll show you? I was like, would you mind? So she drove me like a mile down the road to this spot. Her name was Kimberly, great old lady, and she was telling me she grew up here since she's been coming out to this campground since she was 4 years old. And she used to tent camp, but now she has an RV that she sets up. So that was nice meeting them, saved me a lot of hiking. And then I found a nice easy road I can just follow out in the morning. So I'm gonna start getting things set up. It is starting to get a little chilly. To put my sweater on and then time to relax. Alrighty, camp is all set up. I am pooped, so here's a little tour. Campfire, chair, here's my tent, and that is my inflatable insulated sleeping pad that I splurged on. It weighs like 5 pounds, so it's not good for obviously long trips, but it feels like a mattress. I get really good sleep on that. And I've got my 6-degree down sleeping bag, which is currently kind of inflating itself. So now I'm going to be gathering firewood to get a fire going. Well, I picked a campsite right next to a group of Boy Scouts. They're over that way. I don't know if you can hear them, but they, you know how teenagers are. Never shut the fuck up. So, oh well. I got my non-alcoholic wine and my fire going. Let's see, where's my fire? There it is. So, I'm happy. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but that is a hell of a fire I got going. That's gonna last me until I'm ready to go to bed. Story time. First I want to say that that's why I didn't film wide angle, not horizontal, not vertical, because when you do horizontal, it's much harder to hold the goddamn camera. Okay. First of all, I'm in the tent and nice and cozy, and that is one of the greatest things about backpacking, is when you get in the tent for the night, that feeling of coziness that you have is just hard to beat. So first story I'm going to tell is Grayson, Highlands, Virginia backpacking trip. I went with my coworkers and good friends, Don, Adam, and Corey. And we did 2 nights and 3 days. I will say that I think the highlight for all of us was Don, because it was Don's first like serious backpacking trip. And he is a comedian. He doesn't try to be, but just his timing, his comments, his little short, like 1-sentence lines are just perfect. We'd be going uphill and just miserable. And then Don would come in with just the best comment you could make. So it rained the whole time. So day 2, all of my gear was soaked. I have a rain cover for my backpack. We have rain flies on the tents, but just everything got wet. And I don't think I brought enough pairs of socks because all my socks were just soaked. So the second day, I was hiking with wet socks and my feet got rubbed raw. I'm talking blisters on top of blisters, and then they'd get rubbed off. And so day 2 was also the hardest day, of course, why wouldn't it be? It got to the point where I told the guys, I think they thought the same thing, but I'll chalk it up to my inability to cope, I guess. I was like, guys, if we don't find a campsite in the next mile, I've got to just set up a tent, because everything was painful. Luckily, we found a shelter. And so Grayson Highlands, it runs through the Appalachian Trail. Part of it does, at least. And we found one of the shelters there that they build along the Appalachian Trail. Imagine a little tiny log cabin with just the front of it completely removed. And we found that. So we're like, awesome, we're going to be at least dry for the night. We met a Appalachian Trail thru hiker. I can't remember his name now, but he was a Sobo, so it's southbound. The Appalachian Trail starts in Atlanta, Georgia, not Atlanta, it starts at Springer Mountain, Georgia, and ends in Mount Katahdin, Maine. 95% of Appalachian Trail hikers go from south to north. This dude was going from north to south, which is a lot harder. He was a cool guy, and we had a good night in the town with him. We were just enjoying a little bourbon and just talking shit, and it was a good time. So we wake up the next day, and my feet are just totally fucked. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna have to go ahead of you because I'm miserable right now, and I'm not gonna be an addition to the group. Like, I'm just gonna be a complaining Conrad. So I'm gonna hike ahead. I'm gonna get to the parking lot, and I'll just wait for you guys. So I did that, and just basically ran to the parking lot. Every step is like, fuck. Excuse my French. But I get to the parking lot, I lay down, I just wait for them to get to the end. They do. We get in our cars, and then the funniest thing of the entire trip happens, if you ask me. Oh yeah, by the way, provisions, wine. I'm not going to carry on with the non-alcoholic shit. It's alcoholic wine. And if you want to sue me for drinking at Lake Vesuvius, then go ahead. But anyway, the funniest thing happened on once we left. We're all Rick and Morty fans, so if you know about Shoney's, if you know, you know. So we have to stop at Shoney's to eat. So we stop at Shoney's. I think it's, God, I don't know what time it was. Let's say noon, 1 o'clock. And we pull in, and we're all beat down. All of us, no one's walking normally. It would have been so funny to watch us get out of the cars, because everyone's hobbling. These youngish guys, I say youngish, me. Youngish guys are getting out of the car, and we're just, oh my God, we're hobbling around. And so we go into Shoney's, and it's all senior citizens. It's all babushkas, all old people. And I looked at Don and I was like, I hope they don't think we're making fun of them, because we can barely walk. All of them have canes and oxygen machines. So it was, I guess we fit in. But that was, God, just the memories from that trip. And that's another thing with backpacking, is the memories you make, you don't forget. I mean, it still sticks out in my mind. So that was a great trip. And now I'm going to talk about the scary trip that I took with Adam. We went to Dolly Sods, West Virginia. I told that story in the Zaleski video about how I was freaked out and bailed on my solo hike there. But Adam and I went, and we did 2 nights, 3 days. And this was February or March. Now, the problem with Dolly Sods is it's the highest point of West Virginia. And so you'll get snow up until April. I think I looked at the weather. I hope I looked at the weather. So the second day, get to our campsite. It was a beautiful campsite. It was right next to a river, but then it started to snow. And I'm talking big flakes nonstop. Couldn't even keep a fire going. That's how much it was snowing. So we hunker down, we get in our tent. The same tent, actually, the MSR NX2. It's a 2-person tent. I like to bring it because it gives me room to put all my stuff in here, so no little animals can get in my backpack or anything. But overnight, it snowed at least a foot on us. And when we woke up, our shoelaces to our hiking boots were completely frozen solid. We had a layer of snow on the tent everywhere. And we talked about this when we got back to the car, but I and I think Adam was too, but that's a daddy long leg. I was legitimately concerned about us actually getting out of there, because it wasn't just the snow. So there's like, imagine this. So there was maybe 6 inches of snow, and then on top of that, a layer of ice, and then on top of that, another foot of snow. So when you would take one step, it was extremely taxing physically, because you would take a step into the snow and then your boot would break through the ice. And then you'd have to take another step and break through the ice, and then you would, pull your foot out, and it was, taking 5 steps felt like you took 100 steps. And it was a lot of uphill, and we had parked at the bottom of the forest road trail because they had closed the gate. So we had like a 2-mile hike of switchbacks to get back to the car. So it was good that we made it out. But I remember we got back to the car, and like there was a moment where we looked at each other and we were like, dude, that was hairy. That was a hairy situation. So thank God we got out of that. So those are my 2 stories for the night, I think. I've got Rat Race on my phone I downloaded, which I haven't seen, God knows, 10 years. So I'm going to watch that. I'm going to enjoy my wine, and I'll see you in the morning, unless something interesting happens out here tonight, which I doubt. I think the Boy Scouts went to bed, and all the RV people seem to have gone to bed, so it should be a nice quiet night. And I will see you mañana. Good morning. It's 7:30. I went to bed at about 2:30, so that's 5 hours. Set my alarm for 8:30, so I don't know if I'll be able to go back to sleep for another hour, but we shall see. Otherwise, it's time to pack up and get out of here. It is 8:30 in the morning, and I am hiking back to the car to make the trek back to Cincinnati. I hope you enjoyed the stories and some of the views, though. And at the end of the video, I'm just going to post some pictures. But thanks for joining me, and take it easy.